What does it take to be a successful entrepreneur? A dangerous amount of coffee and a ton of grit. My name is Jason Tracy, and every week I interview business leaders to share their stories, life lessons, failures, and advice with you. Welcome to Coffee and Grit. What is up? What is up? What is up? It is time to uncage those freaking beasts. I'm so excited. I've got Dr. Paula Ruffin in the studio with me. Dr. Paula, she's an entrepreneur, a chiropractor. She is a TEDx speaker. She is an influencer, a content creator. I'm so excited to bust into. We've been sitting here jamming. It's like we need to turn the cameras on now. Go before we miss all the content. Though I think that we could probably talk for hours. But so super exciting. As I just posted this earlier. We had 50,000 plays on our content for the first 3 episodes of the year. So I talked to, this is the Go Big or Go Home tour here for Coffee and Grit. And just, you know what, I talked about playing small, and it's just time to blow it up. And so we've had some awesome momentum, and we're not stopping. So Dr. Paula, welcome to the show.
And thank you so much. Congratulations on that. And I feel like 2024 is the time.
It is.
I feel like the last 3 years have been, I don't even know what the last 3 years, I could say a lot of things to that, but.
Do you find like the last 3 years have been like a long time, but like a small time to you? Isn't it a weird time warp?
Blink of an eye, really time warp. I feel like the last 3 years, well, I mean, let's go 3 to 4, but I feel like all of that was everybody trying to find their footing again. It was clawing back from all the garbage that was thrown at us, and you know, the sudden left turn that everybody had to make, and try to figure out how we were going to live life again. And I feel like it's taken us 3 years to really get everybody to stop spinning and get the world to stop spinning. And
yeah,
you know, even for me, I'm coming into this year, I'm like, ooh, man, I had some shit go on in the last, you know, couple of years for myself personally and professionally. And I had to really step back in and start reconfiguring myself. And I came into fourth quarter last year and I was like, oh, I'm back, baby. So
how great is that feeling?
Oh my God, it's amazing. And the interesting thing is, like, everybody in my world, my colleagues, mostly my female colleagues, but most of my colleagues, my dear friends, everybody seemed to be on a very similar path, whether they got dealt with something during that time, but whatever it was, everybody's finally just, you know, coming out from underneath the water, right? So we came up and we're like, you know, gasping for air again. And now we're like, oh, I'm going to swim like hell. I'm going to make some shit happen this year. So that's where I'm at.
We're talking about the content, and congratulations to you too, because I saw you just hit 1,000
Thank you.
subscribers
Yes.
on YouTube,
yes.
which is awesome.
It's amazing. I started with 15 subscribers just a little over a year ago. And when I posted that I finally hit 1,000, I spoke at TEDx Detroit 2022.
Yeah.
And they had said to me, do you want all your social channels listed? And I was like, yes. Cause I did a lot of Facebook. Right. I mean, yeah. I think for a while, like, everybody was doing Facebook, and then I was doing some Instagram, TikTok. I still don't quite get on TikTok as much as I should. I want to be across all channels.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I thought, well, I'm just going to give them all my channels. And then that was going to be my inspiration to start doing something. So I had 15 subscribers on YouTube, and I think I had, I don't know, 115 on Instagram. And I just started pouring into it, and I just started putting more and more consistent content out. Still not as much as I would like, because I'm doing it all in the one woman show.
Yeah.
And, but on YouTube, I just crossed over 1,000 subscribers. And so it was just slow and steady and putting out good content, and, you know, trying to I figured it all out myself. What's interesting is you would think that it would be really easy. Like, I'm going to write a freaking easy book for people like me who just do this, download this app, do this, use your iPhone. Don't, we have a dear mutual friend of ours, who, Michael Mann, I'll just call him out right away.
Yeah.
So,
what's his nickname?
We call him Hot Michael. So it's
I'm
Hot
like,
Michael.
we can't miss that. Hot Michael.
Go back and watch the episode with Michael Mann, and you'll know what I'm talking about. It's Hot Michael.
Even his cartoon on the episode, he has a cartoon image of him, and he looks like Superman. Like, what is this?
I know, he's amazing. And I call him that to his face, and I introduce him like that. So I don't think he minds much.
I don't think he minds.
But he and I had lunch a few weeks ago, and he was like, he goes, I'm about a year behind you on YouTube. And I go, I don't know what that means. And he goes, well, I'm doing this course. I paid this, whatever he paid for this course, and I'm getting my office set up, and I had to get the camera, and he's like spending a lot of money.
Yeah.
And he's not doing anything with it. And so then he goes, well, here's a video that I did. And he shows me the video, and he's sitting behind his desk, and he's like, it's so bad, isn't it? I told him it was bad. So this is not, I'm not saying it.
We're not talking crap, Michael.
No.
You know.
Right. Yeah. This is nothing I wouldn't say to his face. So I'm like, that's terrible. I'm like, what? Because he's literally like, that. Like, just.
And that's not him.
No. And you know what he told me? Well, I asked him, I said, tell me again, what do you do every morning? And he goes, I put my daughter in the backpack and we go for a walk. And I go, Michael, do you have one of these? I go, turn your effing phone on and walk and talk with your daughter. Do you know what kind of traction that's what people want to see?
Hot Michael walking the street with his daughter.
Come on, it doesn't get hotter than that. Put a puppy in his lap too. And
in his lap.
You know, and his wife's hot too. So let's give her some kudos too.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, beautiful family.
Right.
You know? But we sometimes we get in our head, and I've worked with so many people that are like, you know, put all the money into all the things. They plan out all the stuff, whether it's doing the content or starting their business. They put all the money behind the website and all the things, and they stall on that. They don't go out and do. And for me, I was talking to somebody earlier, it was like, I went out and I just started talking and meeting people. And the next thing I know, did speaking events, and people would come up to me and be like, how can I start working with you? And I was making stuff on the fly. I don't know. I was like, I didn't know exactly what I was doing, and I didn't know what the market was. And so I was just kind of like meeting it as it was. And I'm not telling people to do that. However, it was because I started and I just went out and did it. And I got so much more experience in that. And then I'd meet other coaches and consultants that had been doing it for much longer than me. And when I was meeting them for a coffee or whatever, I'm like, I was getting imposter syndrome. Like, these people are phenomenal. Like, what is my qualification, right? But they weren't going out and doing the things.
Right.
And so they were a year behind me.
Yeah.
Even though they were in business far more longer than me.
It's amazing how much we get in our way. And so to go back, that's what I said, you know, if I'm going to go stand on what I consider the most prestigious stage in the world, I better have a social presence. I better start putting that out there, because then talk about imposter syndrome. They're like, who's this chick with 15 subscribers? So it was just that. And then I had to get out of my head that not everything you do has to be a 1 hour podcast, right? This is sort of like this is, I would call the Holy Grail, because this is where all the magic happens in having these conversations. But you know how the human brain works. We have to be so easily digestible in what we put out there. So once I got out of the thought of, everything has to be an hour, that's daunting. I mean, if you go to my YouTube channel, I have videos that are 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes, a lot of them, and they get played. So people just want to do, you know, hey, you want a quick stretch? Here, do this. You want to know how to shop for nut milks? Here, watch this video. So that's getting out of your own way that it has to be one specific thing. Just put the information out for people, and your phone can get you. That's where it starts, you know?
We're living in times where resources have never been bigger. You can sit from your living room, and it doesn't matter who you are, you know, like, you have a platform, you having your business, being a doctor and that kind of thing, but you see people from all over, again, just in their living room. Like you watch on TikTok, and people are just literally, it's just that vulnerability and bringing you into their life. And they go out there and they just talk and make these videos, do the video with their daughter walking down the street, and
keeping it simple.
Keep it simple.
I have 3 shows. I do a live show Sunday night. That's usually about an hour, a little over an hour. Mondays, I do a 20-minute, I call it Reset Monday. And on Reset Monday, that's the reset of, that was born 3 years ago because I got tired of people failing at their resolutions, right? So you set a New Year's resolution. Most people are going to fail within, 3 to 4 weeks. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go live every Monday to help people get back on track. Because that's what we have to do, right?
Yeah.
We start and we restart. That's part of life. Nothing's perfect. So today I'll say she's a new subscriber. She's been on a handful of previous of my videos, but she's been engaging more, right? And today I was talking about, I don't remember what I was talking about. So it was like between last night's live and this morning's and then this, I'm like, I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. But she said something about, somehow got onto the subject of being shy. She said something about she's shy or something. And I said, here's the thing. You're sitting in my chat and she said, oh, I wouldn't, sometimes I'm afraid to even just be in a chat. And I said, if it wasn't for you in this chat, I'd be sitting here by myself. I mean, there were other people in the chat, but trying to say that, when you are withholding your gifts because you think everything has to be perfect, you're depriving somebody else of something you have to say that is valuable to them. So don't hide that stuff. Just get out and do it.
Just get out and do it. And I was doing that when I first started my business. Like LinkedIn was intimidating to me. I felt like you had to be like really buttoned up and And so people were like, they would put a post out and I'd want to comment and I'd like, maybe not. And I'd like hold back. And what I realized is that this is an engagement sport. Social media in itself is an engagement sport. You were telling me about how a big way that you grew on YouTube, and I have, it's like sitting down and executing that plan because there is time and energy into it, but it's just genius. It's, you're like, get on other people's lives and comment and talk. And it's like, oh my God, your followers go up.
Yes. It's crazy. Every time and I figured that out by accident, right? So how do you figure anything out, right?
Yeah.
Usually by accident. And so, I was following a couple of people and YouTube was one of those things I was like, I don't even know. It's so overwhelming, right? But it's the second largest search engine. And usually when you go to the first largest, Google, and you ask it for something, it usually gives you a YouTube video.
Yeah.
So I think, and if you follow some of the big creators and social media consultants, they are telling you like, go all in on YouTube because you can do shorts, you can do long form, you can do posts. There's, YouTube's all of it. Yeah. Plus, for me, it's become an archive. I'm like, I get asked the same question 20 times in a week, and now I have a place to answer it and put a video out. And now you ask me the question, and I go, oh, here, blah, blah, blah.
A video for that.
Now go check it out. So I have this library. So I started just following people around just to kind of like get a vibe for how things work, because I don't know about you, but, this far into business, I'm 26 years in business. I love to learn, but I learn a little bit differently. I go into things and I deconstruct them for how is this, like I'm looking at the camera placement in here and the lighting and I'm like, and where the mics are and why these, like this isn't, I'm just not rolling in and talking to you, right? I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on in my head, and which I am just rolling in and talking to you.
but it's okay that you're being intentional along the way. Yeah,
because I always want to learn from those things. So YouTube became that place for me. So I started looking at these videos and then I started seeing people go live and I was like, oh, what's that? So I'd get in and I'd, just start chatting and engaging and suddenly I started seeing the subscribers go up and up. So when people see you in other people's lives and you're providing value and having something that's engaging, not just for the, and it's got to be on a platform that's not huge, right? If you're on a live that's got millions of subscribers and the chat's going by so fast you can't even read it, that's not going to work. So it has to be on smaller channels where the host can see you, where the host is engaging with the chat. And then you become known. And then, so right when I was sitting out there, I got an invitation from another channel and he said, hey, can you come on Wednesday night? It's my birthday. I want you to be my co-host. And they're talking about composting. And a lot of my channel's gardening because I believe we should be growing our own food. And if we can't, we need to be connected to where our food comes from. And so to me, that's just a major pillar of health when, if we know where our food comes from and how to grow it. So I'm like, yeah, I'm in, I want to learn how to compost I've got more food scraps than anything. So anyway, so I'm going to go on and I'll be a co-host. Well, that's going to drive my subscriberships up. Well, the only way I got on that was because somebody else asked me to be on their show as a co-host. He then said to this other channel, hey, you need to have Dr. Paula on. So this will probably be the 5th time I've been on their show. So it becomes, and then you notice like people follow each other around. So now you go into each of those. Once you find one, you'll start seeing the other ones and you'll go, oh, and then you go over to another show and you go, oh, I saw those people over here. And then it just you'll start to see it go up from there. So it's pretty cool. I don't know if everybody's grown their channel like that, but it's worked.
It's really cool because I have not put that energy into YouTube yet, and I've got to. That's one of my goals this year. But I did the same thing on LinkedIn and now on Facebook. LinkedIn, that was a big growth for me and how I got a lot of my business through 2020 because there's no networking events, there's no speaking events, there's nowhere I'm getting out. So I put a lot of energy and effort into YouTube, and it was not YouTube, LinkedIn, and it was commenting, it was going on to people's lives, commenting, talking, again, sharing your expertise. When someone's talking about something, don't just say, great post.
Right.
Thank you.
Right.
Like expound on that. What did it spark for you? Why was that a great post? What made it great? Do you have a expounding idea on top of that? Maybe you didn't agree with it even. Put something out there. And like whatever your engagement is. Because if you don't agree with something, it allows that person, no matter what you post, if you put it out there, it allows that person to then continue their chat, they have a chance now to rebuttal, right? And that helps them. And what's really cool, that same exact thing, all of a sudden all these collaborations come. All of a sudden people are inviting me to co-host their shows or to co-host a speaking event with them or to do some kind of a sales program together. Or it's just really cool how the communities grow, because we talked about at the beginning, we're in a time where this is the greatest resource. Like we can get on social media and do all this stuff, but you can't do it without people, and people are our greatest resource.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you hear that, Michael? Well, and that's such a great point, because I've been saying, I've been also like deconstructing some things from my office and, looking at certain levels that I want to get to this year. And I'm like, I have a people problem. So, I need to hire staff, and the only way I'm going to get to the next place where I want to go in my practice is to hire staff. So yes, I'm hiring. But I need somebody. I was having a conversation. Actually, it was on my live last night, and we were talking about staffing. And I said, problem is, like, if I can't hire somebody who is a slow thinker. Now, I'm not saying dumb. I just think, some people process differently, right? Yep. You can probably already tell by my cadence. I mean, I tell you, like, you're a fast talker, it's like, right?
You came out and I'm making coffee and we're like, blah, like all in one. Yeah. I love
exactly,
it.
Right. And we knew exactly what we were saying.
Yep.
And so I said, if I've said it, and now I'm 10 steps onto the next thing. So then if you're still like, wait, what, so I need somebody sharp. I need somebody who, and
you can't explain the joke as the comedian. Like you go back like,
exactly.
That was funny because I said this.
Right. No, it doesn't work that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I'm very right brain, I'm creative. I just want to get shit done. So having somebody, I also recognize I need somebody a little more left brain, somebody a little bit more organized who can, basically I say, I go hard and break things, and you need to just come sweep it all, put it back together behind me, Yep. So yeah, structure my shit, help me stay organized. Because I do, like I say, I just like get shit done like that. I've been saying that for a really long time. And we, so I'm on the board of Lyon Township Downtown Development Authority. I'm also the co-chair of the promotions committee. So that means I'm, the chief officer of fun in Lyon Township. So, we went from 4 years ago, actually we're going into our 4th year. So let's just say 3 years ago, there was 4 of us, right? And now we've got a committee of over probably 22 to 25 people. We have we went from one event, we have 16 events now in Lyon Township. And that's because, so my good friend Troy Powell, he's the chair of the DDA in Lyon Township. And he and I just, man, when we start talking about business and all the stuff we could do to grow Lyon Township, we like it's like that. We're just like, like the thoughts go so fast. And we were in a meeting a couple of weeks ago talking about like, okay, now let's take this. We've gotten we brought the community together, right? We're doing events that bring community in. And I said, well, we got to now support businesses. We have to be able to help the businesses grow, retain employees, like to do all the things that businesses are, concerned about. So we had a new guy on the committee, and he's, he goes, well, and he's a data guy. And he goes, it's probably going to be about a year before you can do anything, because you got to get these surveys back from the community. And Troy and I looked at each other and I go, all right. And I said, please don't take this. I go, but if we just look at the top 3 things that businesses are concerned about, probably staffing, more new clients, and I don't know, marketing. I'm just throwing it out there. And I go, let's just pretend we know the top 3 things. Let's pretend we have a giant search engine that could give us the top 3 things entrepreneurs are concerned about.
Pretend we have a search engine.
Just
ChatGPT or whatever. I don't know.
Something. Something. And I go, and I said, if that were the case, if we waited for the information to come with us to us, I go, we wouldn't be sitting here 4 years later going on 16 more events this year. We'd still be sitting here, sitting on our hands. So, and that's Troy and I always say, we're like, no, we're just here to get shit done. Like, don't tell us that we have to wait. And that's how I am in my business. I want growth to happen. Obviously, I know it's a process, just sometimes very painful, but when you can paralyze yourself when you're trying to analyze, what analysis
Absolutely.
Paralysis, I think that's the term, right? So.
Well, and what I've seen happen is like people want the exact answer. They want to be the assuredness that it's going to work out 100%. And I'm going to tell you, no matter how prepared you are, something's not going to work. And if that's the case, just don't do it, because if you're going to fall apart when something falls apart, like you're probably not meant to do that.
History.
That thing. You've got to be prepared that things are going to break. I had this client I was working with a long time ago, and he was like afraid to post social media stuff. I'm like, what's your biggest fear? He's like, my biggest fear is that nobody will see it. I'm like, nobody will.
Guess what?
Nobody cares. Like
2%.
2%. Like, let's go ahead and post it then. What does that matter? Like, let's post it and pretend like nobody will see it. What's the worst that could happen from there?
Because nobody's going to see it. That's hilarious. Oh my God. Well, but what a great problem to have that he was actually so optimistic that everybody would see it.
Everybody would see it.
like I want his algorithm.
but like we sit and we prepare like that, and again, just go and do it.
Just do it. It's not going to be perfect, right? So you just have to get out and do it. I mean, you look at, how did you build anything? How did you grow anything? And when I talked about in my TED Talk, that was the whole thing that I was saying in my TED Talk, was that we just need to start. You just need to start. We can make excuses. There's people who are action takers. They're the ones that have success. And then there's people who have excuses, and they're the ones that stay in their shit, right?
Yep.
And so I think I've said shit multiple times.
It may be in the title.
This is one of those no edit podcasts.
I heard getting shit done, I think is going to be the title.
You know what? Please. I think that actually says it so beautifully.
It's been the theme, so it's been in my head.
Okay,
so
good.
yeah.
Okay. We've got the title. Good. So I'm like, I forgot what I was saying.
Damn it.
Where
What were we talking about?
We'll pick it up with zing. Oh, my TED Talk. Okay.
Yes, TED Talk.
There we go. Got it. Okay. So quick sidebar, I have a really great friend who is going to be on your podcast. You're going to love her. She's not going to be on your podcast, but she's going to be. I'm going to connect you guys. She's actually,
Erica?
What's that?
Erica?
No. Katie Chuba.
Oh, yes. Awesome.
Do you know Katie?
No. Well, so we talked about her, and then I connected with her right after we ate lunch a couple months ago now.
Yep.
I got to circle back. I told her I was going to come out to Novi.
Yeah, she's now the new Novi Chamber director.
Yeah.
She is a freaking rock star. So she and I, because this is me and Katie, this is us, right? So you're going to jive with her so good. It's like constantly going back and forth. So whenever we get back, like, so many conversations going on, and whenever we remember to get back to the original subject, we do a little golf clap. So just so you know, so when you're talking to Katie and you go, oh, you got back to the original subject, you're going to give her a little golf clap. She's going to go, oh my God. Yeah. So
Keeping that in my mind.
there you go. Yeah. So back to the TED Talk. So people who are successful, they take action. People who aren't, they make excuses, because excuses will also paralyze you. And, you know, when you've got all the information at your fingertips, again, in this giant search engine called Google, you have all the information you want. It doesn't matter. The information does not matter if you don't put it into practice. And, you know, I told the story about my mom who, you know, she raised 4 of us. It was the 70s, raised us on food stamps, sewed all our own clothes. Like she, you know, everything was, if I saw something that I wanted, you know, a dress or something, she's like, you know, I could make that, you know, and then sometimes she would, and sometimes I'd never get it, you know. I'm like, so then the joke became, okay, like, would you make it while I'm 7, or do I have to wait until I'm like grown and, you know, so she would laugh.
I get it for prom.
Actually, I still have my prom dress. Yeah. She forbade me to get rid of it. And now my daughter's like, yeah, you can't get rid of it. I'm like, I know, she made my prom dress. So I still have my prom dress.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So, but the whole point of that was, you know, my mom, so here she is, she's, you know, raising 4 kids on food stamps. She was an entrepreneur, right? So I say, you know, not like we think of today, you know, we think entrepreneurs today, like we're moving and grooving. And she just, you know, she made enough money to keep it all together. That was it. But she sewed. And she sewed her heart out, and she made Sally's ties for guys. And it was just, oh, man, I'm like, gosh darn it. You know, in today's world, she could, you know,
God, yeah.
And we'd sit and we'd watch the news, and she's like, Bill Bonds is wearing my tie, you know, and like, you know, so she sold all her ties to all the news people. Like, that was the original social media, and why her business didn't, you know, just, I mean, it could have been amazing. She could have been like the Ralph Lauren of, you know, ties. So, but the whole point is, you know, she decided, so my brother was hyperactive. So she was like, oh, there's got to be something, you know, something better to do, because the doctors wanted to put him on Ritalin. And so she was like, oh no, that turned him into a zombie. I'm not doing that. So she figured out she goes, oh, I just got to change how they eat. So she just like cleared out the cabinets and took away all the processed foods, and everything was freshly made, you know, home cooked meal, bagged lunch, breakfast on the table, never processed food in our house ever again. Actually, she would put a bag of frozen Milky Way, tiny Milky Way, in the freezer, and those were hers. We were forbidden to touch those, you know. She was like, and I'm like, hey, I got respect for that, you know.
Yeah.
But the whole point is, like, she just, it wasn't easy. She just did it, right? And she just said, this is what I'm going to do to help my family. She left a freaking legacy. I mean, look at me. It's what I do. It's health and wellness. My daughter she's a mini me. Now, she's an artist. She's 19. She's going to college. She's not going to be a chiropractor. But this kid, the way she cooks, the way she lives her life, the way she, you know, she takes her supplements. She's like, if her friends come over and they got a sniffly nose, she's like, I got a homeopathic remedy for that. And she goes up in the cabinet and, you know, she'll get them a nutrient of some sort, or, you know, essential oil. You know, it's like, so to me,
she created a legacy.
She created a massive legacy. And that's really the platform that I want to help people understand, is that, you know, you can't buy that, right? I don't care how much money in the world you have, you know, that you can't buy that kind of life. You can't buy life. So figure it out for yourself, get out of your own way, and teach your kids. Stop thinking that giving your kids chicken nuggets or not giving them chicken nuggets is a deprivation of being a child. You're depriving them of being a happy, healthy adult. Like, just cut it out, you know, like teach them how to be a good, healthy adult. And it starts with you. So
Before we get back at it, a quick shout out for our sponsor, Playbook Builder, powered by AI. This show has always been about giving the resources and the tools to small business owners in order to grow and scale your businesses successfully. And so I'm so excited to partner with a company that does just that. If you've listened and heard any of our guests, you've heard talking about building process, developing and training, building culture, are all such important pieces in order to building a great company. Well, Playbook Builder, powered by AI, has come along and revolutionized the game on how you can do that for your team and people. Whether you're onboarding new people, training and developing, continued training and developing, you're looking to scale your business or eventually sell, or most importantly, you're looking to build a legacy as a visionary. Playbook Builder powered by AI is able to solve those problems for you. For me as a consultant, I've been able to plug in, and it's so amazing for what I do for clients. I can now leave a legacy. And so, for example, I'm next week training a new hire for a company, and I've been able to build out the next month of her training program using Playbook Builder powered by AI. The cool thing about the AI, what does that do? What's the hardest part of building out a process? Taking this step by step and making it easy to learn. What the AI piece does is you can actually type in what process it is, whether you want to onboard, if you want to onboard a new employee, type in onboard a new employee and what type of industry you're in, and the AI will put together a foundation for you to build out your playbook. It is absolutely incredible. But don't take my word for it. Head on over to playbookbuilder.com, and these guys have set it up to where you can take this for a test run with no obligations. Plug in what kind of playbook you want to build. If it's a sales training playbook, for example, plug that in the description. And in the description, you can also put in what kind of industry you're in, and then hit generate, and it will generate a playbook for you. Impressed from there, and you can take a 30-day free trial of the playbook system altogether. It's so cool because you're telling that story and you start talking about your mom and, you know, just starting with your brother and going down this journey is like, oh my God, that's how you ended up where you're at.
Yeah. Yeah. It's you know, there's a saying by BJ Palmer. He's the son of Dee Dee Palmer, who started chiropractic. And he said, you never know how far reaching something you may think, say, or do today will affect the lives of those tomorrow. So, you know, you just do, as long as you know it's headed in the right direction. You know, I had a patient one time that worked with her, you know, adjusted her through chiropractic, and then also did functional medicine with her. So did some nutrition, some detoxing, some gut cleansing. And then she just kind of disappeared. I didn't hear from her for a while. 2 years later, she came in holding flowers. And I go, what are those for? She goes, I wanted to thank you. She said, all the work I did with you sent me on a journey. She said, I actually went to school to become a functional nutritionist. And she goes, and now I get to help people just like you helped me. And I was like, are you kidding me right now? Like,
isn't that so awesome?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes we don't ever know.
People won't tell you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Or they might come back years later, but yeah.
And the cool thing about that, I did a video series when I first started out, and I feel like I need to bring this back. I called it Tuesday Tude. And it was just every instead of like Tuesday, you think Tuesday Tude, what's your first thought?
Right. Attitude,
right?
Yeah.
And so my whole goal was to turn that around. Like, you know, I did this for like 5 weeks and it was really good. I don't know why I stopped. But it was like Tuesday Tude was Tuesday Gratitude.
Oh, love that.
And I just give gratitude for somebody that came into my life and told me they believed in me, or whatever it was that is the reason why I'm in this position now, or I'm here now. And it was like, I'd just give these, and it was so cool because I'd do this little video and I would talk about this person and I'd tag them in, and then I would encourage other people. I wanted to start this whole movement, encourage other people. Tell me your stories. Who encouraged you? Who was in your life? Because the thing is like the first person I did it for was a manager that I had when I lived in the UP, and when I did this video, you know, it was super emotional, and she called me and she was like, I had no idea, but you have no idea what I'm going through right now.
Oh my God.
You know, she was questioning herself. She was questioning her self-worth. And then she hears this video and she was like, this just changed my whole entire,
wow.
You know, I was emotional making the video. And then when she calls me and she tells me that, it's like, whoa, you know, you have no idea what people are going through. And when you can just let them know, hey, this thing that you did, no matter how big or small, whether you knew it or not, it changed my life.
Yeah. That's amazing. I, you know, you kind of spark something for me is that, which something I've been threatening to do and I haven't. So I think the inspiration for you to start, I mean, that's life-changing for people, you know, reboot your Tuesday Tude.
Yeah.
And then just to, I think on a smaller scale, doing a little 30-second clip to a client, a customer you haven't seen in a while.
Yes.
You know, because we all know we learn things from our clients too, right? So wouldn't it be great if you just, every day you just did 2 to 3 little video clips and sent them off to somebody? You know, how impactful would that be?
Yeah. It's if you do that every day, the compound effect of how impactful that is, I don't know if it can even be measured.
I don't think so. It's the ripple effect, right?
Yeah.
So
And you think about it because it doesn't take massive action. When you talk about doing shit, getting shit done, it doesn't take
GSD. By the way, I'm already looking up t-shirt companies. It's going on a t-shirt.
Oh,
so yeah, I started looking it up a few days ago.
My wife makes shirts, by the way. Like, she does all the apparel and everything.
Well, then I just found my t-shirt.
no pressure to plug, but I'm like, I know a person, so.
Okay, I'm gonna need to talk to your wife today. Okay.
Yeah. No, that's phenomenal. But it's getting shit done, and it doesn't have to be something massive. It can be something really small. I have this thing where it's like, if I think of somebody, especially if it's like twice in a couple of days, I'm shooting them a message.
Yeah.
I love the video idea though.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And same thing, like, or, pick up the phone, call, even a text message can be powerful. Hey, I was just thinking about you, know, but I love the video aspect, when you just put your mug in a video and send it to somebody, people, when we get to see faces, that was a big problem for me with COVID I was like, we aren't meant to not see faces.
Yeah.
We aren't meant to not see expression. This is how the world communicates. This is how babies communicate. They did there was an IQ study that came out like a year after COVID, and they showed that babies born to COVID moms had a 20% lower IQ. Now, they didn't necessarily say why, but if your first look at your mother and father is from the eyes up, that's not,
wow.
I mean, that connection builds your hormones, it builds your neurological pathways. So sure, you cut off half of it, you're literally damaging your child's brain by doing that.
I know how crazy it was as an adult, going through that experience. In fact, I just ran into somebody the other day that I had not seen in person outside of when we were in COVID in mass, and like to see her whole face was insane. I've seen her on social media, but it's still like weird, right?
Yeah.
But I was coaching my son's basketball team through COVID, and they had to wear masks, and so we went, first off, if you play basketball with a mask on, that's like
any sport,
the most ridiculous thing in the world.
So dumb.
But so anyways, we get past the winter season, and I'm like, spring, we're going to practice outside so you don't have to wear masks. So we're going to like go outside. We'll hit because it'll be nice weather. And these kids showed up that I had not seen without masks. I was like, oh my God, Matt, you've got the best smile in the world. I liked you anyways. Now you got the smile. It's amazing. Like that was under the mask,
Yeah. It's amazing how you don't really know what somebody looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's what builds community. It builds connection. So, hopefully, I say hopefully we won't go through that again, and that's a whole nother rabbit hole we could dive down, but maybe on another show.
So how did you, from that experience with your mom, how did you then, what was the turning point? What got you into chiropractic? Like what got you down that journey?
It's a great question. So, again, accidentally, but the way she raised me with those health values, and again, she taught me to cook, and, because of what was going on with my brother, and my brother's fine. My brother owns and operates a multi-million-dollar construction company. He's totally fine, right? But he was told he needed medication to function, right? So she just knew intuitively. And I joke, I'm like, in the absence of the internet, my mom figured it out, but we have all this information today, and people still can't get out of their own way and figure it out. So she would take us to the grocery store, and I'm 7, 8 years old, and she's like, okay, read that label, because Mom, can we get this, and she's like, read the label. And, and I'm like, carrageenan, like, I don't know what that, monosodium glutamate, that was the big thing. She's like, does it have MSG? And I'm like, yes. Okay, put it back. And so her doing that got us, it's building our muscle too, right? It's not just telling us, but it's teaching us why and helping us to understand why this isn't actually food. We don't want to put this in our bodies. So, again, she taught me that at a young age. I was an athlete, so I was always, people would make fun of me because I literally was I've never not walked around with a water bottle ever since I can remember. And then when I went to college, I went to U of M, go Blue, graduated with a degree in exercise physiology. So that really started it. I worked at the U of M obesity clinic, and I loved that because I got to work with people. I got to do like body comp testing and, max VO2, like all this, really cool, body, testing to tell like, what markers of health were for people, and then be able to put programs together to help people with weight loss, put them on an exercise program. And, so that really like started me. I started that, I think my freshman or sophomore year in college. And then, I worked at the Domino's Fitness Center. So I went into corporate wellness, and I was like, man, I love this, working in a corporate environment. These businesses, they have all these really cool fitness centers. So I came in and I did an internship, and then I worked for them for a couple of years. So I was doing like incentive programs for the members, and I was doing personal training. And so it kind of just kept evolving into that. And then I worked in physical therapy for 5 years, and I was going to school full time. I was trying to get into PT school, and I decided that, after 2 years of like, I had the quick rundown. So trying to get into PT school, you had to have a 3.5, 3.6, something like that, 3.7. It wasn't quite a 4-point, but you had pretty high GPA. You needed 40 hours of working in a physical therapy clinic, and then there was an entrance exam, right? So I was working full time in a PT clinic. I had a degree in exercise physiology. I aced my entrance exam, and I had like a 4.1 grade point average. Okay, so that's what I'm working with. So I apply the first year, and I don't get in. I go and I teach an aerobics class, and one of the guys in my class, I'd been teaching at Franklin Racket Club over in Southfield. I was teaching there for a couple of years, and you don't have a chance to really talk to your students. So he goes, he says maybe it was showing on my face. I'd just gotten rejected. And he goes, well, I'm the medical director for General Motors. He goes, I'd love for you to come and work for GM in our PT clinic. I got a scholarship for you. Let's figure out what we need to do to get you into PT school. And I was like, okay. So this man took his time. He wanted me to go to Oakland. So I was like, okay. So we go out to Oakland. Meanwhile, I'd again been working full time, putting myself through school to, this is postgraduate, getting postgraduate classes. So we go out there, and they said, oh yeah, she's got all these great credentials. Now, mind you, 40 hours is all that's required. I had 4 years working in a PT clinic. And she said, well, she hasn't been a student here long enough. This is where she lost most of her points. And I was like, oh, I didn't spend enough money? It's not that I'm not qualified, but I didn't spend enough money at your school? What? So we leave, and he's like, yeah, that's a crock shit. And I go, yeah. So he goes, just go, do one more year, take the classes at Oakland. Meanwhile, I'm paying for it, right? It's out of my pocket. So now it's, tuition's going way up. And so I go one more year, and I didn't get in again. And I was like, that was just so political to me, and they had opened up 2 minority spots, dropped the grade point to 2.1 for the minority positions. And I'm like,
you're 4.1.
Oh yeah. I mean, there was no reason that I shouldn't, so you're going to take somebody who has a lower grade point over somebody who's higher qualified. Like, no, it doesn't work that way in my world. So anyway, so then I was like 26 years old, sitting in Charleston, West Virginia, on my grandmother's couch with my sister. And she goes, have you ever thought about chiropractic college? And I'm like, no. Like, I was feeling like a loser because I didn't have my life figured out at 26 years old, And I go, I guess, So I came home and I applied, and 2 weeks later I got accepted, and 4 months.
Like, that was easy.
I was like, man, that was, yeah. So go circling back to our conversation in the beginning.
I love how it all comes back together.
Right?
Yeah,
exactly. It's like, when it's that easy, that's what's meant to be, right? So yeah, 4 months later, I was in California. My dad lived out there. So again, he lived in Sunnyvale or Cupertino. And so the school was in Sunnyvale, which was 20 minutes from there. So I was like,
what a coincidence.
Right. I mean, it was just, so again, like, it's the ease of things. So yeah, and that's how it started. And then I was sitting in class the first day, and the lady who was doing the orientation, she goes, the very first chiropractic adjustment was given on September 18th, 1895. And I was like, September 18th, that's my birthday. So yeah,
What?
oh, it was like,
Boom, I'm meant to be here.
I'm meant to be here. Yeah. So that's where it all went. Yeah.
And all while you were talking about that, I love how you acknowledged it. Like, I'm thinking, oh my God, this is from the beginning of the conversation. This is The Alchemist.
Right.
Like, you're the guy that was like, wait a minute, let's do this. And I got you, so you have the resource and the person that comes along. But then your sister's like,
yeah.
how
And
about
it's like,
this?
and I don't, so what's interesting about him also, which I don't understand when we talk about the ease of things in The Alchemist. And yeah, he came in and he was like, no, I'm going to make this happen for you. And you think you're on the right track. And why it didn't happen, like, I'm so grateful that it didn't. But about 3 years ago, I was in downtown Detroit with some other chiropractic girlfriends of mine, and we were doing a photo shoot. And we were down along the water, and my friend Jim, who was the photographer, he goes, "Oh, stand right there. That's a great background. I got the Detroit River behind me. There was some, whatever was behind me, and he's taking pictures, and I'm standing there, and I look down, and right in between my feet, you're gonna fucking die. Right.
I've got chills already. Like, yeah.
Right in between my feet is a brick, Lucius Tripp, who was the doctor from GM who helped me 30 years ago.
That's
like,
crazy.
I'm like, and there's bricks all along the riverfront.
Yeah.
Why did Jim stop me? Why in that one spot? And then I was like, I'm supposed to reach out to him. And I reached out to him and he died. Oh. I was like, so talk about, let's go back. Let's reflect back. Reach out to people and thank them. Tell them, like, he had no idea the impact that he had on me, right?
Yeah.
So I would give anything to thank him today. I probably should maybe reach out to his wife or, a family member.
It's a really good idea.
Yeah. Cause they'd probably want to know what their husband or father did. But yeah, so that's the, and then,
I just love how things happen because out of all those bricks, all the places you could have stopped.
Thousands of bricks down in the next time you go down to the waterfront, you look at all those bricks and you're like, and I'll tell you what, I couldn't find it today. Like, if I went down there,
you'd be looking all day trying to find the one.
Yeah. Yeah. But man, I mean, that's why I love how the world works, so.
But you talked about, I don't know if this was before I think it was before we started the show, you talked about being receptive to the signs.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about that. Cause I love that. Cause it's like, I think about, somebody like, God, why am I not winning the lotto? And it's like, just buy the lotto ticket. You got to buy the lotto ticket before you can ever win the lotto.
What's going on there? Yeah. And I think too, faith for me is, has a lot to do with it too. Right. So I'm not a big Jesus preacher, but I love Jesus. I'll say that. Right. So, but that's my personal relationship. And I'll tell you what, when I'm, I've had ups and downs in my life, and having faith and the ability to just say, I don't have the answer. I'm just open to what the answer is. Like, and just that thought and that ability to say that thing takes so much stress off. We always want to find the answers, but sometimes we just have to just say, I'm open to the answers finding me. And I've found that over the years that, when I'm in a situation where I just can't figure something out, that alone, but you got to sit with it for a minute, right? You got to really, you can't just say it. You have to, you got to live it for a moment and then go, okay. And then you just start walking in that path that the answer is going to find you. Like, you have to be confident the answer is going to find you.
And you mentioned the law of attraction again. This is before we started, but you go into it, and again, there's so many things happening at any given time. But it's bringing into our awareness, stopping and saying, because one, giving ourselves that grace of that we don't have the answer, because I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves that we should have the answer. I should know this. I should be smart enough. I should, and struggle, like just gives ourselves permission to constantly struggle versus throwing that out there and being, but I'm receptive. And just that alone is now opening up your intention. It's opening up, so in science, the reticular activation system, right? Yeah. What are you looking for? I love the law of attraction and people that are like, oh, that's, woo woo or any of that stuff, right? There's science to it.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my gosh. There's so much science behind it. Right. And listen, you could tell me there's no science behind it. And I'm like, I don't care. Works for me. You know,
one of the first things somebody was listening to about law of attraction, it was like, it doesn't matter if you believe in gravity or not. If you go up on your roof and walk off it, you're going to fall. Like you can say you don't believe in it, but it exists.
That's what we say a lot in chiropractic. We're like, I don't care what you believe. You know, it's like gravity. It works whether you believe it or not, you know, and that's so true. So staying open. I remember one time I was at my office and this was probably 15 years ago or so. And I had somebody in that was doing my billing and they left. And I was like, oh my God. And I was trying to keep up with, you know, the posting and the billing. And I would always keep up with the billing because that drove the money in. Yeah. But then it was the posting of everything when it came in, right? So I had a friend of mine and she goes, you ever done the placemat exercise? And I go, I don't know what that is. And she goes, take a piece of paper, like, you know, those white placemats you get in a restaurant. And she goes, on one side of it, she goes in the middle, write down all the things, yep. You know, everything that you need to get done, want to get done. She goes, then put everything on the left side that you can get done immediately or that you think you can get done, you know, pretty easily. And then over on the right side, take everything that if somebody walked into your world today, that they would take that over. And she goes, I want you to put that posting over on the right side. And I go, you don't understand. I go, you know, I've got a pretty complex software system. The insurance works, you know, very intricately. Like you got to make sure everything's posted properly. She's like, you just trust me. And I go, okay. So I put that over on the right side. I got my list, you know, and I'm checking things off on this left side. And I'm like, okay, so something's going to happen over here, you know. And I had another person working for me at the time. And I go up to the front desk. This is a couple of days later. I go up to the front desk and she's sitting at the front desk with the stack. She's never touched an insurance voucher in her life with a stack of insurance vouchers in front of her. And she's like, and I go, what are you doing? She goes, I thought I'd post these. And I go, what? How do you know how to do that? She goes, well, I've watched you do it. And she goes, and I know the software enough that I think I can figure it out. And she sat there and I was like, oh man. I go, and this I think might have been before The Secret even came out, right?
Yeah.
I was like, man, I'm never questioning the universe ever again. Like that was it, you know? But I'm like, thank you. So you have to be open and receptive to the answers will come to you. The right people will come into your life when you need it. And you know, I was telling this story to a friend of mine the other day because we've got a group of us, you know, chiropractors, and we're all, you know, like, let's build, grow, let's make a lot of money this year, you know. And we had a couple people who just aren't quite resonating with the group, right? So, and they're dear friends, right? But, you know, we're just in different places in our businesses. So I said, this is the thing. And they lean a lot on God, right? So I go, you ever hear the story about the flood with, not Noah's flood, but so it was big rainstorm, right? And the floodwaters are coming through town, and these, you know, the people are like running through the streets and like, come on, and the guy goes, no, God will save me. And then, you know, a little you know, canoe comes by, and he goes, quick, jump in, and he goes, no, God will save me. And then the waters are getting high, and he's like on the second floor, and somebody comes on a motorboat. And he goes, get in, we'll save you. And he goes, no, God will save me. So the waters get really high and he's up on the roof and a helicopter comes over and drops a line. They're like, grab the line, we'll take you to safety. And he goes, no, God will save me. So the waters take over, he dies. He ends up, he goes up to heaven and he says to God, he goes, what happened? I thought you were going to save me. And he goes, I sent a canoe, a motorboat, and a helicopter. What more do you want? You know, so like... We don't stop know. Sitting back. We have an idea of what saving looks like. You know, like when he says God will save me, he's sitting there literally waiting for God to come down, right? Like ease his way. Like we form in our heads what that hope or what that thing will look like. And that's what I love about being open to that, because we don't know. Yeah.
You know, talking about the coffee thing and how that just comes out.
Yeah.
You know, like didn't set out to sell coffee. You know, it just kind of came about. And then when it did, it got really easy.
So do you ever read the Tao Te Ching? You ever read the Tao? Okay. I heard this because you talked about easy. And I think it goes with this part of the conversation. So I was in yoga one day. This was like 20 years ago. And the instructor, and and I'd never heard of the Tao before, right? And it's these 109 lessons or something like, and oh my gosh, I'm forgetting anyway, like an ancient, writer, really historic writer, right? Of course, I'm going to forget that.
Yep.
Somebody's going to go, dumbass. Sorry, edit that out. But anyway, one of the chapters is ease and the easy way. And the easy way shouldn't be the hard way. And the hard way is never easy. And it's this circular that, like we keep reflecting back that if it's supposed to be what we're supposed to be doing, it should be pretty easy.
Yeah.
I'll find that passage and send it to you. It's pretty profound. I go back and I read it frequently because when things get really challenging and difficult and I'm like, I can't figure it out, I go back and I read that and I'm like, because this isn't where you're supposed to be. And then I have to go, okay, where am I supposed to be? I'm open to the answers right now. And people are part of that. So when they come by in a boat or a helicopter, you better pay attention.
That's your way out.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to read the Tao though. It's pretty cool.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
And we talked about it again. I think this was before we started the recording, but just again, going against when it is easy versus going against like you're paddling against the waves, right? Like it's so hard. And I have a friend and we meet up in kind of accountability every once a week. And he's stuck in this 2 areas of his business, and where one seems like the logical way for him to go. And so he's stuck on logical. The other way, but it's hard. It's harder for him to do. It's more investment into his time. He gets burnt out on it. The other thing, he barely puts any energy into. He gets clients very easily. It's the most rewarding work that he does. He fills his bucket. He doesn't have to work at it. And it's like,
what's his problem?
To me, it's so freaking logical to be like, hey, dude, don't do that.
Get rid of this.
Like, don't do that, And every week our conversation's kind of like back to here because it's a lot. He's like fighting with logic or what he thinks is logic. And
I'm sending you that passage to send to him. Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Because I think he would really resonate with that.
Yep.
Because like you're saying, you go, okay, well, what, and this is like coming into this year, I had a personal and a business thing. And I call it, you've heard of using anchors as a way to, it's like NLP. Yep. Right. So, anchors are a way to help remind you that you're doing the right thing. Well, I had this like discovery or, thought that, well, we can get, one of my greatest superpowers is I'm fiercely loyal. It's also one of my greatest curses because I can tend to stay in things too long. I call those bad anchors when you can't recognize that it's an anchor, that it's holding you back, that it's not easy. It's hard. You're putting a lot of time, money, and energy into it. You don't realize that it's sinking you. And so how do you know when to cut the bad anchors and what are the good anchors you need to connect with? This is just like I don't know if this concept exists of bad anchors and good anchors. I know good anchors exist, right? Yeah. Because for me, one of the things that I recognized about myself is I wasn't recognizing. I didn't put metrics, and I'm told you I'm right brain, right? So I lead with my heart.
Yep.
And so I've made this commitment coming into this year. I'm like, I will never let anyone take me down again. And I found myself in 3 or 4 situations, back in October, November, December, where I was confrontational with people, in a good way, right? I was feeling compromised where normally I'd be like very passive aggressive and I'm like, I don't want to rock the boat. And I kind of walk away. But I'm coming into this year and I'm like, I am claiming what is mine and, all of the things. And I've gotten rid of these things that have held me back. And this is what I want. And you're standing in my way and you can get on board with me or that's not going to work. Right. Yeah. Move over. And the interesting thing was when I started stepping into that, it actually created positive change for all the situations. So it was like, that's really cool that that you did that, but I think also just recognizing, like your friend, is you got to put metrics behind it. It was, again, because I lead so much with my heart. I didn't think I was like, oh, my intuition, I'll figure it out. No, it sank me in my relationship and it sank me in business. And I'm like, nope, we're not doing that anymore. So I cut the lines, and we're on to greater, much better things now. So, yeah.
You got to know when to cut the lines.
Right.
Sometimes there's all into this self-awareness, but when you cut the lines, whether it's a client or a relationship, isn't it crazy how life opens up and fills that void? It's usually with something that you're looking for, especially if you've asked for that.
Yeah. It's amazing. So the negative anchors, the first one was a relationship of 10 and a half years, and he texted me and broke up with me and hasn't spoken to me since. So there's that, right? So you're like, that was pretty devastating, right?
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of things, it did me a huge favor. Took me a while to figure that out, but it was a solid year of recovery. Another one was a business group I was in that was just like, I paid them a lot of money to help guide me, look at my business, help me laser focus on all the things that were going to help me 10X. Taking their advice took me in a completely opposite direction, but I wasn't paying attention to the metrics, and they were like, no, it's fine. No, we'll send another helicopter, and I was like, I'm done. And as soon as I did that, as soon as I cut that anchor, it was the same thing. It was like more people started coming into my world, more opportunities. The money started to flow back into the business. I could see more clearly just from day to day. I had more optimism. I wasn't stressed out by this thing isn't working. Now I was paying attention to it. So coming into this year is like, even starting last year too, but it's like a muscle. It's growing more and more, and paying attention to when it doesn't serve you, you got to cut it loose. And head or heart, like I'm the biggest heart-driven individual you could meet.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'm not going to let you take me down, so.
It's huge. Just making the decision that you're not going to let somebody else take you down.
Well, because you end up, and we just go back to the oxygen mask, right? So we, it's like when you gave me the
flight attendant,
right? Is that we do that so much in life. We want to run around and put oxygen masks on everybody else. This business group that I was in, not the business group, but this little accountability group. There are people in there, struggling, and I'm like, I'm not here to save you. I can't be here to save you. I need to be in the right room with the right people, because I know where I'm going, and you guys are still trying to figure out that you need to get on board. Right. So it's, again, from a growth perspective, from a mindset perspective, as a healer, we're our own worst enemies, because we're supposed to be healing. We're supposed to be helping. And we will do that. Usually anybody who meet as a healer, we will do that at the detriment of ourselves all day long. And I'm like, I have too many other people that I need to save. So if my oxygen mask is not on, it's not going to work.
I'm the same way. And it was the guilt of wanting to save people, right? And it got to the point where it's like, I can lead a horse to water, but I can't make them drink. And the most frustrating thing for me is to constantly feel like I'm holding their head under the water. Like, you got to drink, you're thirsty. And then I've got this carcass on my hand because I just drowned them, right?
Yeah,
like,
right.
It never works. If I want it for them more than they want it, I've got to cut that loose, because we're just going to have a relationship with animosity. And that's whether you're in business networking groups, or because Bleeding Heart Center, I want those people to do well, but you got to know when to cut that loose, because then all of a sudden you're stuck there, because you are who you surround yourself around.
Yeah. Yeah. It definitely takes you down. And I think too, that, we all do this because we want to help people, but also going back to The Secret, the law of attraction, all of that, we keep like circling, right? We're giving a little golf clap. But, years ago when I started learning about law of attraction and positive mindsets and personal growth and all that, there almost wasn't any permission to sit and have a conversation like I didn't feel for years. I didn't feel like I was able to say, man, I'm having a crappy day, and I don't really have bad days. I usually just say I have varying shades of great, right?
Yep.
Some days are better than others, but you're faced with challenges. I just actually got challenged I decided to go out of network with insurance companies. So I'm no longer accepting insurance. Scary. I am liberated to no end. Again, as an anchor, right? You gotta cut it loose where you're not seeing it. So, but that was a weird day. So I think when you're talking about personal growth, it's really easy to get into this, you're not given permission to say, man, I just need to wallow in this. I need to call my girlfriend. I need to scream. I need to bitch about it. I just need to do a brain dump.
Yeah.
And then tomorrow when I wake up, I'm going to figure it out. Cause I just get shit done. So
I love that you say that. Cause you have to get through those emotions. If you're sitting there, you got to get through that pity party,
Yes. Yeah.
Whether it's taking a nap or going and doing yoga, spending out, whatever time that is, just taking that time and getting past it. And then tomorrow
you get up and you do it.
And do it.
Yeah. I call it my 24-hour wallowing period. I'm like, cause when you're in that state, you can't think properly anyway.
Yeah.
So do whatever take a walk, take a nap, whatever, scream, shout, whatever, have a glass of wine. Some people probably like, no, you shouldn't drink when you're upset. But I'm like, no, a glass of wine does wonders for me. But we've got to be able to allow ourselves the ability to process.
Yeah.
So that we can clear the mind. So then we can come back and find a solution for it. And this whole, and I don't know if people today, this was just my experience and my journey coming through personal growth and law of attraction, is that I don't know about people today where they land when it comes to personal growth and affirmations and positive thinking. If they get into that kind of hamster wheel of, well, I got to be happy all the time. And there's a difference between feeling like you have to be happy all the time and being optimistic.
Yeah.
We can be sad, we can be angry, but if you lose optimism, you'll never pull out of those. So you don't have to be happy all the time, but if you can have optimism to pull you through that, then I think you'll get through those times, more successfully. And you won't shove all the feelings down, and you'll be able to probably come up with more concrete solutions for what it is you're trying to accomplish.
I love too how you set the tone, and you're like, you say every day is great, or not every day is great.
I have varying shades of great.
Varying shades of great, because one of my biggest pet peeves is, and this is the most average thing, is when you ask people how they're doing, and it's not too bad today. And what does that mean? I'm still so confused.
Right.
Yesterday you were chewing glass. Today,
right.
Not too bad.
Yeah.
Yesterday was a disaster. Today is not too bad.
Yeah.
But it's the normal every day. It's not too bad. Do you want to live life in the not too bad gray area, versus when you meet somebody and you're varying shades of great, even if you're having a really bad day, today sure is something, right. I've used that one, but it gets people's attention and they start talking to you more, versus
yeah.
It's not too bad. Nobody ever extends a conversation upon that.
So many of my patients will say, oh, I'm not too bad. And I'm like, what's the opposite of that? I don't know what not too bad means, but yeah, when I meet somebody or perfect stranger or whatever, how you doing? And I'm like, I'm fantastic. And they're like,
it catches them off guard.
Yeah. They go, fantastic. Wow. I've never heard anybody say that. They've never heard anybody say they're fantastic. I'm like, yeah, I'm fan-freaking-tastic, and it's true. But there's some days when, my patients are like, I'm so used to saying that I'm fantastic that even when I'm having one of my lower shades of great,
yes,
I'll still say, I'm doing fantastic today. And I'm like, and in my head, I'm like, you're lying. You're so lying right now.
You remember the actual day and you're like, actually.
Yeah, God dang it, yeah. When my dog died, I was like, yeah, I'm having a shitty day. I just had to declare it at that,
Yes.
And there's times when there's times when it's okay to say, yeah, it's not a great day. But in mostly we should think about our languaging and, I mean, this is a big, but how we speak to ourselves is so powerful. And, I'm not too bad. I'm not too great. What do we say? I'm not horrible.
Yeah.
That's another one I hear. I'm not horrible. Not horrible.
Living the dream.
Yeah.
I hate that one.
Yes.
Just because usually, and I have a thing where it's like, when I say living the dream, I mean it. Like, I'm living the dream.
Yes.
Like, and I'm saying it like that versus like living the dream.
So right. Yeah. Cause there's negativity with that.
Right.
I did this, went to Sedona and I did a retreat back in August with my daughter. And it was really cool because we did this exercise with a shaman, and we did this fire burning ceremony, which was so cool. But we sat and we did this exercise. You take all your limiting beliefs and you write them down, and it's, not too bad, or you're not worthy of, or for me, people look at, I want your schedule. Yeah. Okay. Work for 25 years, do what I've done.
Yeah.
And you can have the ability to create what you want too. But this is what I do, right? So I want your schedule, or must be nice. That's another one, right?
Yep.
So there's so many things. So what you want to do, and this is really, really a powerful exercise, is write down all the shit, right? Write down everything. So whether it's things that people say to you, whether it's things that you say to yourself, what are all these limiting beliefs that come to mind for you, and for me, growing up poor, and my mom would always say, we can't afford, we couldn't afford anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
So can't afford it. We're going to live in the street. If we do that, we're going to end up in the street. And then as a little girl, here I come, I'm in elementary school, and every day I'd come rock around the corner and I'd peek around the corner, and I'm like, phew, our stuff's not in the street. I mean, it's crazy, right? You're like, that's in my freaking DNA. Powerful, right? Like the fact that every day I would make sure, I'd be relieved, like the tension of a 7-year-old girl coming home from school and thinking our shit was going to be in the street. And then it wasn't. I'd be like, okay, I can come home and play now. And, things are happy. So, there's a lot of that there, right? So write all that stuff down. Then take that list, take another piece of paper, and take those and flip them. Take them all and put them to the, and don't just say, I can't afford anything. And then on this side, I can afford, like, get that word afford. I am worthy of success. I am worthy of wealth. I am worthy of, a great relationship. I am worthy. I am worthy, ... fill in that whole page. But either way, so then create your list, make it opposite. Take that list, and this is what we did. We went into the teepee and we had a fire burning ceremony. We took took the list of shit, crumpled it up, threw it in the fire. The shaman took us through a meditation. We cleared all the chakras. It was weird because I've never done anything like that before. And for a minute, I thought I was levitating. So I know that's going to sound really weird to people out there, but I'm like, yeah. And I'm not super woo woo, but I was like, that was crazy, a crazy experience and a crazy feeling. So, we did that, and then we were clearing, clearing each chakra, and then we got done, and she goes, and actually in that moment, I just found myself forgiving my mom, right? Not necessarily thinking that I hadn't not forgiven her, I was like, what am I holding on to? I basically forgave her, and she did the best she could with what she had. She didn't know. Yeah. She was raising kids on pennies. So afterwards, the shaman asked us questions, and I go, man, when you're at the third eye, like I said, I'm still having this weird sensation, like there's a weird pulling in my forehead. And she goes, you think too much. And I was like, me, the right brain girl? Like I overthink everything, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, and she goes, pay attention to that. So I was like, okay. And so I think that's what started my journey coming into the fall, and all the confrontations of them. Like, I'm not going to sit and mill on stuff anymore. I'm going to dump it. So then a day or two later, my daughter and I went and climbed Cathedral Rock in Sedona. So right after that, and we get about halfway up, and there's a ledge, and I'm sitting on the ledge, and then there's another, just a crack in the rock going straight up. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. And she's like, and we both tried climbing, and then we both got scared and we came back down. And she's like, I'm going to keep going. And I go, okay. And she went up, and I'm sitting on the ledge and I'm taking videos and creating content, and I'm probably, 2,000 feet up, right? I'm like, well, I'm going to make the most of it.
Yeah.
So people one by one started coming up on this ledge. And then I'm like, yeah, the trail's up that way. And they're like, I'm not doing that. And so there's like 3 or 4 of us sitting there. And here comes this older man. And he's just like, do. And the lady goes, let's see what this old man does. And he comes popping up on the ledge, and his name is Warner. He was from Germany. He goes, what's everyone doing here? And we're like, we're not going up there. And he goes, well, why not? And one of the ladies goes, well, we can't figure out how to get back down. And he goes, why don't you figure out how to get up first before you worry about getting back down? And we were like, okay. It was like he was like a sage that was planted there, right? So then he says, he goes, come on. And we're like, what? He goes, come on. Come with me. And he took us all the way to the top of Cathedral Rock. If you've been to Cathedral Rock in Sedona, it's one of the most energetic vortexes in Sedona. And there's an actual like peak or like, it's like this rock that just sticks up, and it's in between all these other rocks, and it takes some effort to get there. So he got us up the rock, took us all the way up, and we got to one point. And I said, Warner, I can't believe it. I go, thank you so much. I said, man, I just, man, I was so scared and I couldn't. And he looks at me, and this is one day after the shaman. He goes, you think too much. And I went, oh, shit. Oh, pay attention. It comes around. So when you're like, show me the way, man, it comes in so many ways. Yeah. So he took us all the way to the top. We got to the top, and he goes, are you up for another adventure? And I go, that wasn't adventure enough. Now we're like 5,000 feet up. So he took us down the front way. I mean, it was super cool. It was incredible. And I'm sitting on that ledge, and I go, man, my 25-year-old self would have done this all day long. And then I'm sitting there, and my daughter's sending me pictures from up top, and I'm like, you need to get off your ass. And then he showed up and led me up the rest of the way. So
that is so awesome.
Get out of your way. It's here, right? It's all there. And Warner says, he goes, is all the shit is in your head. It's all the shit. So
Warner, man.
Right.
It's like amazing. He was part of the experience, right?
He totally was. Yeah, he totally was. Yeah, I mean, he just appeared at the right time. So I
love how this is ending. So it's like, it's literally that story brought everything we just talked about all together in that one amazing story. One that people are just great resources to listen to the messages. Listen to the messages because they're on repeat.
Yes.
They're on repeat. And sometimes you're just missing it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
But if you stop and you just listen, you're going to hear them so clearly.
Yeah.
You're going to hear that you think too much over and over again.
You think.
And then what do you do with that?
Yeah. You got to pay attention to how much you're thinking. Oh, thinking and overthinking, right?
Yeah.
The fact that they both pointed right to they both did this. I was like, whew, that's powerful, man. That's powerful. So, get out of your own way, pay attention, be open, be receptive. Again, I think all of us, we tend to overthink, and it keeps us in, we get analysis paralysis. You want something better, you want something greater, just go hard and break things, man. The right people will come into your life to pick up after you.
That's beautiful, Paula. Thank you so much for coming down here.
It's been amazing.
This conversation. Check out Paula's TED Talk.
Yes.
You'll probably expound more from this, but check it out. Check out Paula's YouTube page. We'll have the links in the comments here. But thank you again.
I appreciate you being here. This is always fun to connect with you.
My pleasure.
All right.
And cheers on the coffee.
Oh my God, the coffee, amazing. So smooth, wonderful. Make sure you go buy Jason's coffee.
Thanks for the plug. This is the first episode where we drink it.
I know, and I like how the handle is facing there.
I had to bring my own personal difference maker mug in for you. So
there you go. I appreciate it. Yeah. Do I get to take this home, or is this like next time?
Yeah, next time.
Okay,
next time. I'll bring you one.
Okay, perfect.
It's my only one I have.
So. Sounds good. All right.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. All right.